Men claim to hate it, but they actually love it. Should I?
Oh, I'm like volunteer.
I'm right here.
I hate like evolutionary psychology, but looked at it from that perspective of like we're all trying to enhance what we look like to try and find a mate.
My brain is more messed up by the fact that I'm seeing like women on my Discover feed like getting nip tuck, like Botox injections all the time.
I'm trying to get into this, but I don't know if we should be linking cosmetic work with self-care. Like that's
I've got fake boobs.
Do ya?
Yeah.
Do ya?
Yeah.
Really?
That absolutely sends me. So I've got some props here, but they're not really props. You may have heard my voice. It is giving husky.
she is sick. She's a sick girl, and it's to your own detriment. You do this to yourself.
It's called festival flu. If you've ever done a camping festival and you think, I'm God's strongest soldier, I've got this, trust and believe, it will get you down. It will humble you. And I think that my illustrious camping festival career might be over.
So there's a festival that obviously Pip just did, 3-day camping. I did it last time. We did it together and I got COVID straight after. So this year as it came around, I said, absolutely, I will not be attending because I don't want to get sick. And hello.
Lo and behold, here I am. But you know me, I always bounce back quick.
She does. She'll be eating that off yogurt in the fridge and it'll actually help.
It probably will heal me. I was down and out like all of Sunday throughout the festival, rolling around in my swag, like full body aches, sweating. It's 35 degrees, like truly battling. And like hearing all these sets that I wish I was out, you know, in the festival enjoying. And I was like, and I barely slept because it's so loud. I was upset, bro. But you know what? I had a good 24 hours before that of like partying and it was really, really fun. So it was worth it in the end, but I do believe my time might be done.
You're done.
Or at least we do one camping festival a year and call it. Because
I think that's where I'm at.
This shit is hard.
Babe.
But I'm here. I've got my tissues. If you're watching on YouTube, you could probably see me grab a few things here and there. And
she did cough straight into the mic just before.
And our sound tech said, let me take a photo of that so I can spray it after.
Yeah, maybe I should just
lean back.
Lean back this whole app.
You know, it should be like bringing back the old COVID thing where they used to put perspex in between each other. Like RuPaul's Drag Race, they used to have these massive perspex things so they could film.
It's like, watch this space. Next week I'll be with a croaky voice.
You'll be fine.
Okay.
Don't speak it into existence.
All right, let's get into the episode.
Yes.
Pip and I saw, you might have seen this as well, there was research that came out a couple of weeks ago that basically linked dating apps to women getting more cosmetic work done. And we spoke about it in the office and we were like, oh, that's really interesting. Like we would never have made that link. And so we put it up on our Instagram and we're like, we just wanted to investigate this and see if this was something that you noticed and were experiencing. And we were pretty surprised by what you said. So we wanted to do a whole ep and kind of unpack the experiences that you've had when it comes to body image and the pressures you felt to look a certain way and potentially get work done based off of dating.
Yeah, so let's get into it. Right, so just a little disclaimer before we start. I think we should say that we are going to be focusing on women's experiences of this because basically the research was about women and how they're affected by dating apps, their body image, what they're getting done. So we know that the gays and the guys are getting filler. There's a lot of evidence to suggest so, but we are just going to kind of be focusing on, that experience.
So let's get into this research that I was talking about earlier. So this research concluded that women who use dating apps are more likely to get cosmetic surgery. So this is according to a new study published in Computers and Human Behaviour by researchers at the University of South Australia. Women on dating apps are more likely to undergo cosmetic procedures and digitally alter their appearance than non-dating app users.
So using like filters and stuff like that. Okay.
The university reported that the emphasis on appearance was particularly with the swipe-based apps, and it plays a role in influencing 20% of women to change their looks via dermal fillers and anti-wrinkle injections in particular.
We asked how you felt about doing cosmetic procedures as people who are young, single and dating, and whether you feel like it has influenced your time on a dating app. So we put up a poll, as we do, at Triple J The Hookup. Go check us out. We asked, have dating apps negatively affected your body image? 58% of you said yes. 42% of you said no. So pretty split down the middle.
And then we went further and we said, if yes, if you felt like dating apps negatively affected your body image, would you consider undergoing cosmetic procedures? 28% of you said yes and 72% of you said no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I was expecting with that, but like.
Neither was I, but 30% is still quite a huge chunk of people who, I mean, this is considering, this isn't have you undergone.
Yes.
So there's still like quite a strong link there.
Yeah. So we got a couple of DMs and voice memos talking about this, and I feel like we should start off by the people who said, actually, this doesn't really affect me, because like we had a really wide, like diverse range of responses to this, and we're going to get into like all these little pockets of it. But let's start off with people who actually were like, it doesn't really affect me. I don't feel like I see the link. And Hayley was one of those people.
I've been on and off dating apps for almost 3 years now, but to be honest, I haven't felt the need to change my appearance for anyone on there. I think dating apps are supposed to be for people finding out about you and who you really are. And I think most of the time the people who I've matched with have said more about my personality or my hobbies rather than my appearance. I think some people use plastic surgery and changing their appearance as their last resort if they feel like absolutely no one is matching with them.
I find that really interesting, that last sentence there. Like as a last resort, because this, like obviously these stats are saying like, no, people are going to it like as a first thing.
Well, also it would be interesting to see if like, I think we didn't get anyone in the DMs or a voice memo about this, but if there's people who have tested like a response around if they changed their photos and added more filters and like photoshopped their faces or their images to look a certain way, if they got more matches or more of a response. That would be interesting.
That would be cool. Hopefully like maybe some like research will come out soon about that and they actually really like test that. That would be interesting.
Can anyone please volunteer as tribute? Can someone change their dating app and filter their images and see if they get what they notice?
Should I?
Oh, I'm like volunteer. I'm like,
right here.
Babe, you are on the apps. I forget.
I will say I don't want to get surgery.
No, but you could make it look like you have.
You know I'm good on a photo app. You
Babe?
know I be
She be changing the blue sky, the rain to blue sky.
Pretty good at it.
Yes, let's do that and report back.
Okay, interesting. All right. Well, we had another voice memo from Laura talking about this, again in the kind of camp of like, I'm not going to change myself. I need someone to see exactly who I am because my body's my body and I don't want to let dating apps affect my image or what people perceive me as.
Speaking of someone who doesn't fit into some of those standards of beauty, specifically for me being plus size, I think there's a dimension to it, dating while fat of like, of course you want to pick the photos for your profile that, you feel good and confident in, but at the same time, making sure that they're accurate to what I actually look like and make it clear to anybody viewing my profile that, I am a fat person. Because my biggest fear whenever I was going to meet with somebody like on a first date was that they would show up, see me, realize that I was fat, and then reject me on the spot.
Yeah, we had a lot of people kind of resonate with this one in particular where people were like, I have a mix of photos on the apps that are like me done up with makeup looking really pretty and then me looking pretty like in quotations ugly or basic or like real me.
Yeah, I feel like that's what most people do, right? Is like they try and capture like such a diverse perspective of the person or yourself to be like, this is all of me. But let's go back to that research because a lot of you did relate to that research which focuses on the pressure to get work done. Jojo says, I've been single for a few years and when going on first dates, I'm hyper aware of how I look and it affects my confidence. So I can definitely see why they would be closely linked. I don't think men consider their appearance nearly as much. They use low-res photos that are clearly years old, which is like a whole topic in itself that we like don't have time to get into.
Yeah, but I resonate with that. Amy here saying definitely played a part in the decision for me to try Botox along with social media in general. There was a perception that everyone's doing it and you'll be unfavorable if you don't, which is ironic because I don't want a partner who judges based on a few laugh lines. That is something that a lot of people replied to when we reposted that and they said, tea, mama. Fierce.
Well, that pressure, right? I think that's a huge part of this and it's almost like the dating apps is linked to an overall growth in people getting work done in general.
Mm-hmm.
Chloe said, I haven't had any work done, but I'm wondering if I'm struggling to find anyone like me as I'm up against beautiful girls who have enhanced their features. I'm feeling really ugly compared to them, and it makes me think I need to have work done as well just to keep up.
I think we should talk a little bit about like the pressure as well if you are not a white person, if you're a person of color. We saw this really interesting podcast and it's online. We'll put it in our show notes as well from SBS. There was this woman called Sasha Kutabah Sarago. She's a First Nations and African-American author, filmmaker and speaker. And she had this whole, story about challenging these Eurocentric beauty standards. So she was talking about being a model and she was saying to be successful as a black model, these people were looking for essentially a white model dipped in black. So the very fine features, close to European features that led me to finding myself in a plastic surgeon's office wanting to alter my nose. I'm so glad that never happened because I would have been abolishing all the symbolisms of my tribes and where I came from and who I am, which I think is important to note because I think in this conversation, we're talking about people altering their face and all going for the same look. And it is particularly difficult if you are a person of color.
Yeah, we acknowledge that because there is, like I was saying, a huge growth in so many people getting work done, and in our culture in particular, there is a very, like you said, specific look, and it is that westernized Eurocentric beauty standard that everyone is kind of emulating, the small nose, skinny, the tall, cheekbones and everything.
Fox eye.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Pressure for people of color and people who don't fit into that beauty standard, as well as trans women.
Yeah.
This was something that we got DMs about, lots of trans people saying that they had to, they felt pressure to get cosmetic work done in order to look a certain way to be taken seriously as a woman on dating apps as well.
There's a lot at play and this is a really big complex.
A lot of layers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of layers. But rather than us trying to unpack why women feel these pressures and really getting into the feminist dialogue around it all, I think in this app in particular, we'll really focus on the dating aspect of it. So we wanted to unpack are women doing it for themselves or are they doing it for their dates, right?
Yeah, so before Amy sent us that DM, we read it out and she said, trying Botox was definitely influenced by dating apps, but she also said along with social media in general. And I think this is something I can relate to because as someone who's currently on dating apps right now, I'm not seeing other women's profiles. I'm seeing what I'm interested in the moment, which is men.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of feeling not super influenced by guys.
You're not seeing guys being fuck, I need to change my appearance. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying social media in general is where I'm feeling the pressure because I'm being on a dating app, I'm seeing guys as I'm swiping. Whereas on Instagram, for example, I'm seeing women because I'm following a lot of women and it comes up in my Discover page, which is awful. My Discover page is fucked at the moment.
Yeah.
It is skincare. It is.
I'm getting so much
weight loss stuff.
Facelift stuff.
Yes.
Women who are in their 20s getting facelifts.
Yeah.
And it's insane. So I'm why is this in my feed?
I kind of agree with Amy in that I kind of feel are you trying to do it because you're trying to work on yourself or are you influenced by people who are viewing you? And I feel for me personally, I'm I would be much more influenced by my Instagram feed than my dating apps. I don't know. I don't really care how I'm perceived by guys. My brain is more messed up by the fact that I'm seeing women on my Discover feed getting nip tuck, Botox injections all the time.
It is kind of what Chloe said, the fact that it's become so hugely normalized and everyone's doing it makes you feel like you're ugly because everyone looks so enhanced and they getting stuff done. And I wonder if the link is with women who are single, that also happen to be on dating apps because of course you're single, you're on a dating app. So is it more you feel pressure to get work done because you're single? And if we stripped that back and went from, I hate evolutionary psychology, but looked at it from that perspective of we're all trying to enhance what we look like to try and find a mate. If we're dating, if we're single and dating and wanting to look our best to try and peacock and get a partner.
Yeah.
Does that play a part?
It's the new peacocking.
Is that it, or is it really just it's probably all of it, right?
Well, yeah, I also think we now as women have way more time and money because we're in the workforce and we're actually making money and life is different now and these procedures are becoming more affordable and more regular. So maybe it's combo of dating app, social media, being single, having time and wanting to do that
and to look your best.
To look your best for a mate. And also the fact that it's like, it's affordable. Like you can go down the road to like a laser clinic and get like an injection in your face, right?
Totally. And like this is kind of on topic but off topic, and I don't even think we have time to get into it, but like the fact that celebrities are undoing filler and stuff because it's become so mainstream that everyone's getting work done that they're like, oh, it's not unattainable anymore and like elite, so therefore they're removing all of their work because the average person's getting all of that same cosmetic work done now. So they're like, oh, I'd rather look natural or be ripped or something else. It's like always the goalpost is always moving.
Yeah, well, we so don't have time to get into that. But
I know.
Back to dating though.
So in our DMs, we obviously put the polls up to see how women were feeling. But a lot of women were DMing us saying, we want to know how guys feel about this. Like this is clearly women who are on dating apps trying to attract men. So yeah, it was really interesting. We kind of put up a few polls to get their perspective and had a lot of DMs and voice memos coming through from them as well. And yeah, some guys said that they didn't mind. So Will said, it doesn't bother me. It's their body and they can do what they like with it as long as it's done well, which
we'll get into that.
I don't know how I feel about it. Yeah,
done well. Thing. You know, a lot of guys did love it. Tommy said, I dig my wife getting Botox. Love her looking extra hot and milfy. Okay. And we got this voice memo from Dane.
I think someone who puts in effort to how they look is sexy. You don't have to be hot to be sexy, but if you're putting in effort, whether you're hot and flustered and red-faced at the gym or you're getting lip filler and cosmetic injections, I think it shows that your level of self-care is probably pretty high. At the end of the day, if you do what makes you happy, you will attract the people who are into what you do. And if what you do is big lips and fake tits, then I say go for it.
We don't have time to get into this, but I don't know if we should be linking cosmetic work with self-care. Like that's fucked.
That is a good point, actually.
That is not self-care, baby doll. If you want to get work done because it makes you feel confident, then sure, that's not self-care.
Self-care is a bit of a stretch on that, isn't it?
I hate the conversation around self-care at the moment. Anyway, moving on.
There are some guys who do think, though, that there is a genuine craving for connection, and this is kind of wrapped up in how people are treating their bodies and doing these procedures. And Peter was one who sent us a voice memo about this.
I think when I see people use like fillers and Botox purely for beauty reasons, it feels like a bit of a juxtaposition to the world calling out for more authenticity. Like, you know, there's a priority maybe being placed on that over developing oneself. But I thought what was really interesting to see is that a lot of men kind of calling out that they're not attracted to the idea, which I think is a better reflection of the deep desire of men to like crave, you know, genuine connection and authenticity over looks. But I think, you know, the dating apps and swipe culture, which are inherently built on someone's visual appearance, don't really foster an environment for that authentic connection. I think the conversation raises an opportunity for us as a collective, but particularly men, to really start reinforcing their desire for genuine connection over, you know, visual looks.
I love what he said there about what dating apps really exist promoting, which is so true. It's the photos, it's what you look like. And they've always been built that way, right? So it's almost like the system itself is broken.
So something as well that Peter said in there was that the majority of guys seem to care a lot about plastic surgery, fillers, Botox, and that they don't really like it. And let me tell you, we had a lot of DMs saying this. Josh saying, from a guy's perspective, I'd say most of us prefer a girl with no surgery or cosmetic work. Blake saying total ick, hard pass. Jeff saying, when I was on dating apps, I feel like moderate to substantial cosmetic surgery was a real ick.
Isn't that interesting? We also got this DM from Simone who said, ever since I got breast augmentation, my Hinge likes skyrocketed, which is kind of what I was saying, what I wanted you to test on Hinge. Okay. But all of the messages were so objectifying and disrespectful. I have to make sure I don't include any photos with cleavage if I want to be taken seriously. It's been absolutely harmful to my perspective of dating because I don't know if men genuinely want to get to know me or just think I have nice tits, lol. It can weigh a lot on your self-worth and feel like you weren't good enough for anyone prior to the surgery. But it also has the power to help you identify when a connection is surface level and not settle for relationships based on external validation.
Sounds like Simone went through a big journey with this one. But that is really fascinating. And I think we need to talk about the fact that a lot of guys in our DMs and the ones you heard before when they were saying, I don't mind it if it's well done. It means I don't care as long as I can't tell. And let me tell you, guys cannot tell when work is done.
Well, a lot of those guys who said, I don't like it, like I total ick, hard pass, like blah, 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 is actually probably the same guys who are looking at girls being like, you are so beautiful and natural.
Oh my God.
And we can't talk about that and not talk about the Love Island viral TikTok that happened last year out of Love Island, Australia.
Yes.
You're naturally beautiful.
Thank you.
No, it's like a huge thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Massive.
Thank you.
Lips natural.
Nah.
Yeah.
Got a
1
bit of
mil.
filler in there. Yeah, probably like near like 1 mil.
Suit your face, yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well.
I don't like I hate like fake boobs.
I've got fake boobs.
Do ya?
Yeah.
Do ya?
Yeah.
That absolutely sends me because this is such a common experience. We know it from our personal lives, but also you were in the DMs being like, no guy knows anything
About getting work done.
Guys will see like elite celebrity faces and be like, I would like a natural beauty like her.
Like her.
And it's like, oh, baby. She just has like an amazing surgeon and you have no idea.
100%.
And I think also this new trend as well of like this kind of like glowy makeup, no makeup thing.
Yeah.
Guys don't know what the fuck is going on. Like they're literally like, she's not wearing makeup. I'm like, yes, she
There
is.
is so much makeup that's making her look like she has no makeup.
Like she's looking glowy because she's got like really good highlighter and knows how to do it, babes. Like guys have no idea, which is so funny. And like, yeah, a lot of you in our chats being like, this is what's pissing me off about this. So Anne saying when guys say you don't need Botox, yeah, that's because you've never seen me without it. So you wouldn't know. Beth saying men claim to hate it, but they actually love it. And you know what? That's what we were seeing. Guys in our DMs being like, hate it.
And I'm so glad we get to talk about it.
Yes, me too.
But we got this voice memo from Claire as well.
In my dating experience, guys have been very hypocritical. They want to be with someone attractive, but they want to be with someone natural. I've heard guys say, I just love a natural woman. Or someone said to me, I really like that you don't wear makeup, as if it's a compliment, while at the same time they're putting down every other person who chooses to wear makeup or have whatever procedures done to their body. It's their choice that they can do that. Whereas guys have this view that it's unnatural or it's gross. And then at the same time, they have these standards, these high expectations of beauty that are just impossible to meet unless you're actually altering your body.
Yes, that is it. And that's why all these girls were DMing us being like, I feel pressure to do this. I feel like I have to keep up appearances. And that's because I think like technology and society and everything is going so fucking fast that people are now getting used to seeing these faces in their feeds,
That are
on their
considered
dating apps.
natural that actually aren't.
And they're like white features, all of that. It's all affecting all of us.
filtered, like
Yep.
the TikTok face.
Yup.
And yeah, there's just such a hierarchy, especially when people are like, oh, I don't like people who get work done. It's a hierarchy of what kind of work. It's like, oh, maybe I don't like obvious work, like obvious lip filler, obvious Botox, obvious boob job augmentation. But then all of the subtle stuff is allowed,
Yes.
which I just think it's so... Yeah, it's so hypocritical and interesting. It's like you can only, which kind of like is the pressure that so many women feel in general just about existing in this world around beauty standards. It's like the never ending battle of like having to be not too much this, not too much that, this and this and that. And it's like, so yeah, I don't know, like taking it back to dating though, like I don't know necessarily if that is solely on men. They obviously play a huge part in that, in not understanding like what is considered work
and perpetuating it.
But I do think like what we were saying, it has a lot to do with the pressure we're all putting on ourselves by normalizing this so much and it becoming like so conditioned, especially on social media and accessible, that we've all got a huge part to play in that.
Yeah, 100%. We threw out a question as well with our Instagram about what if your partner is fully against it and you want to get stuff done. We had a DM from Ria saying, I really want to get a few things done as I can see myself starting to age, but my significant other is totally against it. I know he wouldn't notice it if it was well done. Again, like we're not even prompting people to say this, but they are saying it. So we put up a poll. We asked if your partner wanted to or does get work done, how does it make you feel? 5% of you said love it. 31% of you said hate it. And 65% of you said don't care. So 31%, I still think that's a pretty big chunk of people being like, no, really don't like it. I would love to know the gender split on that, but we Did not do that.
Yeah.
I wish we did that.
We need a research grant for that.
Yeah, I really do.
But yeah, so that was just another poll that we wanted to add it in, which we thought was pretty interesting because it's like another thing that off-air Pip and I were trying to unpack was like, oh, is this just pressure that people are feeling when they're single?
Yes.
Because the whole idea of like you're just trying to like peacock and look your best to get a mate in dating, but then people are clearly still feeling this pressure in relationships, even though they've like booed up. It's still, I think, this idea of aging.
Yes. And then you're competing again with what we've been discussing, like the stigma of, let's say, mostly dudes being like really hate Botox, really hate surgery, blah, blah, blah. And it's like you're up against that as well. So yeah, obviously we could keep going into this, but let's wrap it up. I think in general, you can't win as a woman.
Nah, it's
damned
like
if you do, damned if you don't.
classic, like there's so many famous monologues of this throughout like pop culture, like Gone Girl's chill, like trying to be a chill girl monologue, and then Barbie just recently, the huge monologue in that.
Yeah.
So I just feel like now more than ever, it really rings true. I feel like it's gotten worse. Like you absolutely cannot win. And social media and like things like dating apps have made it harder and harder, and like the goalposts just keep changing.
And like we said at the top, like this research, it's sort of new, like it's only a couple of weeks old. It would be interesting to see how this story kind of progresses. If you have thoughts, if you want us to, you know, revisit it at any point, let us know at Triple J.
Dig deeper in anything.
If you want us to do a 2-hour feminist breakdown on surgery, let us know at Triple J the hookup. And if you're watching on YouTube, please comment below what you think of it. Like if you disagree, if you agree with any of it, we'd love to know, because I think this is such a new topic and I don't think I've seen that many people attack this with the dating stats in mind.
No,
because this research is so new.
It's really interesting. Yeah, it would be cool to know if you think that it's something that is specifically a pressure in dating, or it's just like what we've been saying, just what is happening at the moment across the board in society.
Yeah.
But we'll put all the research in our show notes for you and the links to everything. But yeah.
Love you.
See you in the DMs.
Bye.